So, welcome back to another episode of On the Spot Sports. I'm Jack, and today's episode we are joined by a very special guest, the owner of the Kalkaska Battlers, Andrew Dibble. Dibbs has been the owner for the Kalkaska Battlers the past 2 seasons in the American Premier Hockey League and the APHL. So I'm really excited to dive into all things APHL, like what the APHL is, and like the move from the MIHL, the Michigan Independence Hockey League, to the APHL this year. So I'm excited to dive into all that. So welcome to the show, Andrew Dibble.
Hey, I appreciate it. Love being on. I know we've been working on this for a while, so I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to get you on and talk all things APHL because it's a newer league, so maybe a lot of people aren't familiar with it. But to start things off, like how have you been and how is the team looking?
No, I've been good. It's definitely we're coming into year two stronger. Obviously, with a league switch, there was some logistics that we had to work through, but team's been going good. We've got a lot of new faces on the team. I think we had 6 or 7 guys return from last year, and yeah, just recruiting in the off season and trying to build a strong team to make a championship run.
Yeah, that's awesome. But like to start things like off, like how did you get into hockey and like let's just go through like where you started when you first learned about hockey into where you got it now being an owner for a team.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't have like a lot of these owners have some crazy hockey stories and stuff like that. I played a lot of pond hockey and a lot of skating around up in upstate New York where I grew up. And I kind of got super into sports marketing when I got out of the military through skydiving and did a bunch of other things. Ended up working in minor league baseball, moved to Michigan, Michigan's hockey, and I linked up with Gaylord Snow and started working with them with their marketing. And it just snowballed into being a part owner. And then from there, I had the opportunity and the league needed growth at that point to bring a new team in and decided to jump ship, if you will, and bring our own team into the mill.
Yeah, so like what brought you into like the sports management part of the game at first? Just like why were you so interested in that when you got out of the military?
So I got into it a lot when I started skydiving and a lot of the coaching aspects through skydiving. My big piece was GoPro at the time, was figuring out how GoPro got so popular, why it got so popular. And then I just started diving into the ads, into how they were doing it, how we were making commercials, and kind of started from there, started graphic designing, started doing a lot of video editing for skydiving. And then I had a chance when I lived right outside of Albany, and there's a college wood bat league, and they needed some help. They were in severe need of marketing, and I said, "Cool, let's do it. That's what I want to go to school for. Let's hop in, baptism by fire, and see what happens." So that's where it started with baseball, and then I worked with a company for a year, doing jumbotron graphics and doing a lot of their print stuff, like the Lake Country, I think the Lake Country Dockhounds, the Chicago Dogs, a bunch of other teams in minor league baseball, just to really get my feet wet in the sports industry.
Yeah, so like what do you learn from being in the sports industry, from going from baseball to hockey and just like how the graphics work and between the two sports and like as and the marketing part of the game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I take a different approach at it. A lot of people would try to look at it as, all right, how can I market this for baseball? How can I market it for hockey? My way that I always look at things is, and some people may disagree, is it's entertainment first. I want to take someone that has no interest in going to a sports game and have them enjoy it when they go to a baseball game or a hockey game, trying to figure out what that element is to make people enjoy it and want to have them come back. Sounds bad. I consider myself a drug dealer. I try to get the first one in for free, let people in for free and get them hooked. And it works. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't know they like sports until they see it live.
Yeah, like that's the first step is what they see, especially on social media and all that. Like if it's like an empty graphic, like you're just gonna bypass it. But if it's like a cool graphic and t catches your interest, like you're gonna be like, oh, maybe I should go to this game and see what it's about.
Yeah, and a lot of them it's working with our sponsors and our partners of, oh wow, I didn't even know this existed. But if Midas of Kalkaska supports it and I support Midas, why don't I go there? I've got nothing to do on a Saturday. So they see that we're doing things in the community, reading with kids, and just getting that out there. We've got a program called the Battlers Care, which works with battle against obesity, battle against bullying, and battle against illiteracy. And it's just three big staples in the school that it definitely shows that we care about the community. And once the community cares or once we show we care about the community, they'll reciprocate and we get people in the seats.
Yeah, community is definitely huge in sports, and if you bring all that together, like you get more and more seats or butts in the seats, and that creates more revenue as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but in the Northwood Bat League, like what was that like just being part of that and getting your start in sports there?
No, it was awesome. It's definitely a different beast in being able to see the different things. So hockey, you obviously have in between periods. You've got three chances essentially to entertain the crowd. Baseball, you've got nine opportunities. So you can do so many different things to do that, but also you get to see a whole different variety of fans. You get to see, obviously, they're not there. A lot of hockey fans go there for a fight, kind of like NASCAR and a crash. Baseball, they're actually there to watch baseball. So you have to try to keep those in line and make sure that they know exactly what you're doing and that you pander to what they want to see.
Yeah, so like what do you help with those opportunities throughout the 9 innings to help the fans stay engaged?
Yeah, a big part is the fun games in between. You get your dizzy bat stuff, you get your singing contest, your air guitar. I'm trying to think. We did a pizza roll for the Charleston Dirty Birds because pizza rolls are huge down there. So just figuring out the fun little things to get the fans involved, get them out there, get them laughing, and just get them truly engaged in the game so that they don't want to leave their seats in between innings and go to the concession. They want to sit there and watch what's going on.
Yeah, it's what it's all about is just finding ways to keep them entertained and get like explore like the clientele, I guess you could say, the fans there, and just see what they want, and then just bring and more cool, fun games into those half innings.
Yeah, and I mean, at one point that was my job for I think 3 months. I was down in Lexington, Louisville area in Kentucky, and I would work throughout the day doing graphics. And then when the game started, I would sit up in our essentially almost broadcast booth and just watch the entire game and take notes. What are the fans looking for? What are they? So my job at one point was just to watch baseball for 3 months straight. So it could be worse.
Yeah, you can't really complain with that. You're watching sports, watching free baseball. You can't really complain.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, but then baseball led into you finding hockey, finding the Gaylord Snow in the mill. So like, how did that come about to being with Gaylord in the Michigan Independence Hockey League?
Yeah, so I moved up here and I just basically Google searched what do we have around here sports wise because I wanted to try to get into baseball when I came up here. But I came across the snow and I sent an email, said, "Hey, I would love to help you guys. I don't see a lot of marketing and partnership, sponsorship stuff. Can I help you guys?" So I actually made the first book to help Miles Grix to help him with the marketing and did a whole PowerPoint presentation and a slide and stuff to start driving in some sponsors and some partners to helping around the town.
Yeah, so what was that like? Just driving everything in and just getting new sponsors and stuff like that, because it's a whole beast, another beast in itself as well.
It is, and it's definitely hard, I would say, coming in not knowing the northern Michigan area. So just coming into a whole new town, whole new everything, and just figuring out from there. But Gaylord was super accepting, and they were able to do a lot of things, and we were able to start putting our footprint on people. And then being a veteran kind of helps because I can use my veteran leads as well. So that was a big part of it, working with the bowling alley next door to the sports complex and or the sportsplex from there, and just building out, seeing what we could do, seeing where we could be successful, and seeing what people wanted to see.
Yeah, exactly. That's all you can do. But how was the winter up in northern Michigan? Because every time I go up there, it's like a foot 2 feet of snow. It's just snowy up there.
So last year wasn't terrible. It was, I think we got a total of like 88 inches of snow. The year before that wasn't too terrible. This year we're already past what we got the entire season last year, and it's absolutely insane. It was negative 21, 22 on Saturday, and that's
Wow.
no, thank you. I know you're familiar with Watertown. I grew up outside of, my sister actually lives in Watertown. I grew up around there, so I'm used to it, but it's still negative 22 in the snow. I'm good. Hard pass on that one.
Yeah, I feel that. I definitely didn't know what to expect when I was up there, and then all the winter came and just snow keeps dumping on you, and it goes from like 40 inches one night to another 5 straight days of snow, and like you're just buried in northern New York over there.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, but what was your time with Gaylord and just like the 2 years that you were there before you joined before you were the owner of Kalkaska?
No, super good. I enjoyed it a lot. Miles guided me a lot through the hockey journey just because I wasn't super familiar. I'd known a little bit from SUNY Morrisville and some of the stuff that I dealt with in New York, but he helped guide me through that process, get accustomed to the players, and really start figuring out what hits in hockey and what works and what a lot of the fans and the community wants to see. So it was super. I'm incredibly grateful for Miles guiding me through a lot of the things and kind of giving me the opportunity to start working through that.
Yeah, so like what would you learn through being with Gaylord to help you transition a little bit smoother into being an owner for Kalkaska?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the big one is fan engagement and community engagement. I knew it was important, but being with the snow really showed me what it came to, what it was, how important it was to go and get your name out there, start interacting. We did our mascot Frostbite at the time with the Easter Bunny for Easter, and that hit a lot, hit really hard. So just really finding those pieces of what needed to be done to create a successful team with Gaylord, and then transitioning into Kalkaska, I had a good footprint of what to do.
Yeah, so then you decide to like be an owner for a team and you create that team in the middle in the Michigan Independence Hockey League with the Kalkaska Battlers. Like what was that whole process like to become a franchise owner and then just build a team from scratch basically?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a somewhat funny and amusing story. So I had had the conversation with Miles, like, hey, I might want to do that. If you guys hear any loud noises, I've got a huge Great Pyrenees that is sitting here whining at me because I'm talking. So I might relocate at some point so that he can't see me. But anyways, we had talked about it, and hold on, I'm going to move while I'm doing this because Ranger is going to see me and he's going to get very frustrated because he can hear me. Um,
Sounds good.
yeah, so we were sitting and talking. I knew the opportunity would come up at some point, and I think it was driving back from a game in Muskegon, like 3 a.m. And I said, you know, we had kind of talked about a team in Kalkaska because I had kind of scouted around. We needed expansion in the league, and 3 o'clock in the morning, having a couple of bats, I said, all right, I want Kalkaska. Like I want to take it, I want to expand it. And he said, all right. So that was kind of what it was. It was just a conversation, 3 o'clock in the morning, sitting at my kitchen table and just said, I want to do this. So we kind of started the process and figured out what we wanted to do.
Yeah, some of those 3 a.m. thoughts you don't know where it's gonna go and then you end up owning a team. So can't be
Exactly.
that bad. Can't could be worse 3 a.m. thoughts, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but like, did you have like, were you like you said you were looking at a couple other expansion areas? Like, what other expansion areas were you looking at before you chose Kalkaska?
Yeah, so we were looking at a lot of the west side of Michigan. So we approached TC at one point. They didn't want anything to do with it because they had some bad history with some other stuff. So Traverse City, Sheboygan, Petoskey, and Cadillac and Kalkaska were the main areas we were looking at. But Sean Doyle and I went to Kalkaska, checked out the rink. They were so incredibly supportive. Then we went to eat at a place called the Calho, which is a bar restaurant in town, and they were incredibly receptive. And we kind of sat there and said, all right, this is it. Like everyone's been so incredibly supportive. This is where we're going to set roots. Let's do this.
Yeah, that's awesome. So then you start the franchise in Kalkaska, you build it like obviously Doyle was the captain last year. So like what was it like building that team from scratch and like recruiting players and just getting a team?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first part was the branding. Doyle and I had kind of messed around with it a little bit to make sure that we had a team name. A lot of people hear battlers and they think, oh, is it like they come up with all sorts of stuff. But the real background behind the team name is Ernest Hemingway, when he was doing all his poetry and all his writing, was fishing on the river right there in Kalkaska and wrote "The Battler" as one of his biggest things. So there's a big plaque in town that says "The Battler," written by Ernest Hemingway. So we said this is going to work. I mean, it even our mascot's name is Ernest. We have a lot of play into it, but we wanted to be able to do that. So yeah, just started that process, got the name, got the branding, And then our first step in recruiting players, obviously we had Sean, we had Doyle. We just started doing essentially elite prospect scrubs of uh, one of the big pieces we looked at was before we came here, quite a few years ago, there was the Kalkaska Rhinos, which was a junior team. So we started looking at some of those guys, trying to see if we could bring some of them back. And then we just started scrubbing TC West, TC East, all the Traverse City and Cadillac and the surrounding areas. And that's kind of where we started our process to get some people out to camps.
Yeah, and then so you start that process, you start bringing guys in, you go to these camps, like what was your initial reaction to like when camp started and then when the regular season rolled around, like what were those first few games like?
Yeah, so the camps were great. I mean, I think our lowest attendance camp was 22, 23. So we had good showings at camps, had a lot of people interested. There were some people that probably shouldn't be on skates, but they showed up and they supported and they wanted to see how it was. So that was good. We were lucky. We connected with 9 and 10 News, did some interviews. Myself and former head coach Cody Mulready did some interviews, got our name out there, and just started building interest. It was a rough start to the season, but also the first, I think, I forgot how many games, but we played the two and three strongest teams in the league for our entire first half of the season. I mean, we had Waterford doubleheader starting the season. Then we went into Muskegon. Then we went into Gaylord. Like we went balls to the wall for those first three games or first half of the season. So it was a little bit hard, but I think everyone kind of expected us to come in and get smoked those first two games. And I think we lost to Waterford by 2 goals both games. So I think we kind of set a footprint that we're not one of these teams that's going to come in and get absolutely stomped every game. We're here to improve, and we showed that when we beat at the time the undefeated Gaylord Snow at the Coliseum on home ice. So it was a good feeling.
Yeah, for sure. And like you're just able to find like what you're missing and like those pieces that you need to get throughout like that first half. So like then you go into the second half and you guys roll a lot throughout that second half. So like what was missing throughout those times? Obviously you're facing three of the heavies in the mill, but like what do you learn from the first half of the year to bring into the second half?
Yeah, we just needed to know. I unfortunately had to let Cody go. They say coaches get hired to get fired, and it sucked. He's an incredibly great guy, but we just had to make some changes, and we had a player coach come in. He brought some guys that he'd played with before, but also, I mean, it's just coming through uh, the entire season and just having the guys gel together. I'd mentioned before we got on talking about we have the disadvantage that a lot of our guys aren't local. We did some local recruiting, but we still have a lot of guys out of state, so we can't do those 2 to 3 practices a week. We usually run one practice before home games. Other than that, guys are learning how to skate with each other throughout the games, and then we start coming together about halfway through the season.
Yeah, that's good that you're able to bring in some new guys and just get the chemistry going again. Like, but like your home rink, the Coliseum, like that's probably one of the best atmospheres I've played in the mill. It's like what was it like just having games at the Coliseum and like the fans obviously coming out and supporting and creating like a good atmosphere there.
It's amazing. We knew we'd have support. We didn't know we would get what we got.
Yeah,
We knew that we'd have a really good showing, and I joke around. My girlfriend Megan is a co-owner for the team, but she's told me something. She's like, "Did you know that being excited and being nervous gives you the same feeling of wanting to throw up?" So my big thing on that home opener weekend, people are like, "Oh, Dibs, how you doing?" I'm like, "Don't know if I want to throw up or if I'm excited." So I came out at one point as we were getting everything set up and we had fans lined out the door. Said, "Okay, so we've got something here." I had John Starr, the Coliseum director, walk up to me and say, "I haven't ever seen the Coliseum like this. This is amazing." So it was just a building from there. And then having yourself and anyone else that I've talked to that's come through there, they said, like, the atmosphere here is phenomenal. You guys have a great crowd. You have great fans. I said, yeah, well, one of Doyle's and I first experience, they pulled the ice from the Coliseum, is they do like amateur WWE wrestling there.
yeah,
And one of our first experiences in the Coliseum was watching some guy get dollar bills stapled to his forehead while the entire crowd cheered. And we went, oh, this crowd is gonna be rabid. And they are. They support us, but they definitely I've got a great screenshot of Kyle Shaw coming off the ice with Muskegon flipping off one of our fans. And I'm like, oh God, I don't need this. Like, this is terrible. But it's how our fans are. And as professional athletes, you have to be able to deal with it and deal with the rabid
Yeah.
fans. But we have a great fan base. We continue to grow. We've had good showings this year. We just had our Christmas game with Santa and the Grinch. We had our team captain fight the Grinch on the ice to save Christmas, and we've got a lot of good promos that we have, and a lot of good things to bring the fans through the door.
Yeah, the fans definitely are a lot. They're crazy over there. Like I remember our game, like I think it was like 3-2 or something, like 5 minutes left in the game, and I couldn't even hear the whistle. I couldn't even hear my own thoughts in the crease. So I was like, just looking around, I was like, this is a crazy atmosphere to be a part of. So just shows how much support that the Battlers do get, and night in and night out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even to the point we don't have an official goal horn at the rink, but now we have a fan that's got one of those drills with three truck horns on it. So if you listen to any of our games and there's a goal or a fight, you'll hear a goal horn, and
Yeah,
it's just one of our fans that has a drill horn. So we're like, all right, we're not going to put in a goal horn. Like we sell loud cups, so a lot of the crowd has loud cups, the things that you can drink out of, but are horns as well.
yeah.
And then with his name's Wes McFadden with his thing, I'm like, we don't need it. We'll play the goal music that we have that starts off with a horn, but our fans will take care of it for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. But like you said before, it's like all about like the fan base and everything, like being in the community and all that. Like you have like your own like kids club as well. It's like what was it like just being in the community and just the importance of having that familiarity with the community that the players go to, and then it obviously brings in more fans as well.
Yeah, it's awesome. We definitely started the process last year. We're hanging in a little bit more this year, even to the point we have Caleb McCurchie, who's out of the Sioux. His wife is a forgot what her exact position is, but she works in the school districts up there. They reached out to us if we want to go up to the Sioux and get in front of some of these kids. So we want to expand uh, out there, but it's not just, oh, hey, we went and read to a kid. Like we want to make an impact on the community, and we want them to know that we're here not just to play hockey, but we're here for them to give the kids a role model. And I've said it a couple of times to the team that when we get these kids that come through and we do a full lobby of autographs, like, yeah, we're the APHL, we're not the NHL, but to some of these kids, man, like they don't know the difference.
Yeah.
You're in the NHL to them. So we have to be good role models. It sucks. We may come around from getting stomped or having a bad game, but we still have to go out and make face with the fans because they're there to support us. I mean, take a look at it and use it as a emotional support thing. Our fans through I think 11 losses in a row last year still came out and supported us. So we need to do the same. So getting out there, going to the schools, talking to some homeschool communities and doing all that and just trying to get in front of them and show them that we're positive role models in the community is huge. And it showed. We've had people show up and say, oh, like great example. Last year, Zach DeMars, and then this year, Everett Bailey, who's one of our goaltenders, has sat, and also Mason Held, who have started teaching kids how to skate that didn't know how. We did a open skate, and there's a kid that was kind of skating around, and he seemed a little wobbly on his feet. Our players went over and helped him learn how to skate without even asking. It's just a good feeling of what
Yeah.
these guys do for the community.
Yeah, and like that's like the biggest thing throughout like the journey that I've been on. Like I'm sure that like you just said as well. It's just it may not be the NHL, but it is the NHL to a lot of these kids that don't know the difference, and like it matters what you do. Like go sign autographs after the game, help the kids learn to skate, like whatever it is. Like you're a role model no matter if you're in the NHL or in the MIHL, the APHL, no matter where you are, like you're still a role model to some of these kids, and like you just got to be that positive role model and help the kids like treat the kids how you'd want to be treated, like by NHL players and like those guys that you looked up to when you were younger.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, we just had Traverse City has a goalie camp that they run. I think it's called like not your regular goalie camp or something silly, but they asked us and I showed up. Players didn't know I was going to show up. I'm like, yeah, I'll show up. I'll see how it's going. And just watching Everett's a super good guy. He came up from California to us. He actually was with Danville, got cut from them, and came to us. He's become such a staple. He works with one of our business partners, doing construction when he's not playing hockey. But then, so they love him. They said he's a great worker. But just walking out there, I stood up top on our little mezzanine area, and just watching him show this little girl how to go into butterfly and how to do all this other stuff. And I walked down and I was taking pictures, and I had a Battlers jersey on. One of the dads came over, was like, "Oh, like, is that one of your players?" I said, "Yeah." It's like, "Oh, I can't tell you how excited she is. This is amazing what you guys are doing." And that's the type of stuff that we want to do. And it's not just
Yeah.
that, but coming into being a role model. We just played Summit City in our league and got absolutely destroyed. Like, it was just one of those games, seemed like everything was off. But the way that I am, I still compliment the other coaches, and I sent him a message, said, "Hey, really appreciate you having us out there. Great game." And he said, "I have to tell you, you have some of the most respectful players that I've ever seen." And to me, that's a huge compliment, that even in adversity, our guys getting their absolute, pardon my language, asses kicked, that they can still be respectful to the other team and to the people around them. That speaks testaments to what we're trying to build here.
Yeah, it goes a long way, and like you're gonna go far in the world if you have positive people like that, positive role models like that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but this season you did go from the MIHL to the APHL, uh the newly league, the American Premier Hockey League. So like what made that decision to go from the MIHL to the APHL, and how was that transition?
So the transition's been great. There's obviously some hiccups as we try to figure it out. So last year, the APHL started as the UHL and then ran through what we'll refer to as like the Drake hurricane, that
Yeah.
everything they started changing to the APHL. So this is our first full official season as the APHL. But I made the decision based on a couple of things. One, APHL has insurance for players on the ice, which is huge. And I'll talk about that in a second. But also, they had at the time 6 teams. So they're showing growth and expansion. Two of the teams have FPHL direct affiliation, with Summit City having an affiliation with Monroe Moccasins, and the Hudson Valley teams have an affiliation with each other as well. So it was just a decision to make that two. It was just a big part, and the insurance thing alone has come into play. My captain broke his hand 2 games ago, and we were able to submit the accident report, and his entire claim was taken care of by the league and by our insurance. So that's a big part for me, to be able to give something to the players to say, "Hey, I've got your back when you're on the ice. Like, we'll
Yeah.
take care of you."
Yeah, for sure. And like so like what have you noticed throughout like going from the middle to the APHL, like the competitive level and everything in between, with just like obviously there's 6 teams you said. So like what has the competition been like over there?
Yeah, so we had 6 teams. We have 8 teams now, is what we have, and we're spread throughout Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, New York, and Pennsylvania. And obviously, the New York teams are trying to figure out what they can do to play more games, because they're
Yeah.
a little bit out there. But like, we're traveling out to Hudson Valley in March as a team field trip to go and play a doubleheader against them. But the competitive level is more even. I think there's probably a little more guys that are developing in the APHL compared to the MIHL, but it's a lot more competitive. There's games, obviously, you'll have your 12 to nothing. That suck.
Yeah.
It's not fun. But other than that, I mean, it all depends. We knew Summit City was going to be hard when they're home, because they've got one of their leading scorers as a former ECHL player. Like, we know that when they're home, it was going to be a little bit harder. But other than that, it's fairly competitive. We haven't had any crazy blowouts in the league. There's been a couple here and there just when people are a little short benched, but it's been very competitive to the point that guys are able to improve, and we're not getting 15, 16 to nothing games. So they're able to work and improve with each other. So it's definitely a good league. It was a good transition for us just because of what we can provide to the players and the growth. We're already looking at adding somewhere between 2 to 6 teams at the end of the season, to start building a little bit more of that Eastern Division and all that, to make it a more competitive league.
Yeah, so like how's the team been doing this year and just like the improvement you saw from a first year team last year to a second year team now?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're 5-6 on the season. It's been great. We've had some really good games. We've had some subpar games, and then we've had some that haven't been the best of times. But it happens. It's hockey. It's sports. Some people are going to have a good night. Someone's going to bring more players than the other. But we're improving. We're building as a team. We're bringing in new players. We picked up a couple of new guys from CMU, a couple of new guys from Ohio that have come, and we've started getting more people reaching out saying, "Hey, do you need more players and all that?" We were lucky enough that unfortunately the Sioux had a team and their ownership had some health issues. So they folded at the beginning of the season. We were able to pick up a couple of their players that have really started to shine and flourish. Caleb McCurchie, I knew him when I was a owner of the Snow. Incredibly good kid, just full of heart. And I knew that he needed a shot. And sure enough, he's been kind of gelling and getting his feet underneath him. And 2 games ago, he had 2 goals and an assist, I believe, and he's just fitting into his spot. Same with everyone else. They're figuring out how to play with each other and just figuring out how they can succeed.
Yeah, and like that's the biggest thing is just guys had that wanting a shot, wanting a chance, and then they're able to develop throughout playing. Like obviously like it's hard, like you're obviously not practicing 2, 3, 4 times a week or whatever, but like you're still able to like develop through the games and just take the game seriously, take the game 100%, and you'll develop a lot through just playing games.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're lucky enough. We had Will Holden last year. He picked up a this year as an assistant captain. Super good kid, a lot of good heart, a lot of good hockey experience. Well, through him, we ended up bringing his brother in, who's a 6'6" goalie, which that's a good size to have as a goalie. And he's an incredibly good kid. They're twin brothers, like almost identical twin brothers. So it's just good that as we grow and people start to see it, they want to come play. They want to come on the journey with us. So obviously we make roster changes as we need to, but it's good to get people wanting to come and play for us, even though we're
Yeah.
super far north.
Yeah, I skate with both of those guys at the end of the off season. Both great guys and great players as well.
Yeah, I'm hoping Will. I'm going to try to get Will a shot in the Fed this year. I
Yeah.
think he's got the skill and the talent to do it.
Oh yeah, definitely. But to wrap things up here, like what do you expect to go forward with Kalkaska and like the rest of the way? Like what's going to be happening?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna keep growing. We've got some good theme nights coming out. We have Blackout Night, which is where we wear
Nice.
like we black out. We're gonna do some t-shirt giveaways and black out the crowd as much as we can as an intimidation thing as we try to do it. But Princess and Pirates Night, we have our Cancer Night. We have a good relationship. The semi-pro baseball team out here, the Pit Spitters, we're doing a slap shots and home runs promotion with them. But yeah, I mean, as anyone else would say, we're going to keep pushing. We're going to try to win a championship and bring something good to Kalkaska, and we're just going to keep growing. I mean, that's what it comes down to is building that out. The Coliseum has 646 seats with standing room. I think we could do 1,000. I want to try to sell out the Coliseum.
Yeah, that's awesome and just got to keep growing, keep grinding it out and keep going for that championship. So I want to wish you the best of luck with that and I appreciate you coming on the show and talking about Kalkaska, the APHL and everything in between.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I definitely love your show. Love watching it. Always watch it, and I appreciate having me on. I know you've had some of my players on too, so super love it, and I'll keep promoting it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. And anytime you want to come on again, maybe at the end of the offseason when you guys win a championship, we'll have to get you back on.